This is Naomi Ingebretson for Biology 220, dissecting this eye. I haven't dissected it yet, just for the sake of clarity, going to go over the outside parts first. So this white part here is what you would know as like the white of your eye. It's called the sclera, and it is made up of pretty tough connective tissue, basically protects all the inner parts of the eye. This kind of milky looking thing right here is the cornea. It's usually transparent, but I guess when they preserve these things, it gets milky like this. But it's the part of the eye that lets light actually in. And if we spin it around here, you can see this little doohickey, and that I believe is the optic nerve. We'll have a better idea when we actually chop this thing open. But that's basically where the blood and the nerves enter the eye, like basically right behind the cornea. You can't see it, but right behind the cornea would be the pupil, and that would be the hole in the middle of the iris, which is where the light enters the eye and is reflected on the retina, which is on the back part. And speaking of the iris, that's like the colored part of the eye. Acts as like a little diaphragm. It opens and closes and lets a certain amount of light in through the pupil depending on how much is needed. So I will go to the second video now. Alright, so I've chopped open the eyeball, and here we can see the inside of it, which is called the vitreous body, which is the part behind the lens, basically the whole body of it. And this kind of goo stuff is the vitreous humor, basically composed mostly of water, and is what fills up the eyeball. Right here you can see the lens. I guess it also kind of turns opaque, but that's basically what lets light through the pupil and focuses it on the retina here. In the middle you can see the hyaloid fossa, which is kind of like this little indent right there, and then on the sides, if I had 3 hands I could show you better, but basically there's little ligaments that hold the lens in place and help it focus light through the pupil onto the retina. And those are called the zonula solaris. So, again, can't really show you, but they're there. So on the back part here is the retina, and that's where the light receptive cells are, the rods and the cones. That's basically where light is focused from the lens. I believe it's right here would be the blind spot. It's a little whitish area, and that's where there are no rods and cones, which is why it's called the blind spot. So you can't actually see anything there, but that's basically where the optic nerve comes in from the back and enters the eyeball right there. I peeled back some of this here, kind of, but basically this dark black layer that you can kind of see around the edge, that's called the choroid. And then this iridescent kind of metallic looking stuff, that's really pretty, is called the tapetum lucidum. Sorry, I'm butchering these names, but basically that is useful like when you're trying to see at night, because it reflects the light back into the eye. So I'm going to cut up the cornea now and do the third video. Okay, so third and final video here. I have cut away part of the cornea here, just a little flap so you can still see kind of where it goes. But the fluid behind that would be called the aqueous humor. It looks like most of it had drained out because it kind of crumpled here. But basically that's what helps give the eye some shape there. And that is just behind the cornea and then goes to the lens. So here you can see the iris around the outside, and that is kind of what acts like as a diaphragm to let light in and out. And then the pupil is in the middle here, and that is what gets constricted, allowing a certain amount of light in. So that's it.